UK formally submitted its divorce papers from the EU. The Brexit that Britons voted for last summer is now formally declared, with the clock ticking on negotiating terms. Brexit supporters have promised a lot. Europe is loath to give too much lest others leave as well. Up next on Point, winners, losers, high stakes, and the Brexit. First, this news.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jim Kane. President Trump is signaling that he's not ready to give up on health care in spite of last week's failure by Republicans to gather enough support for their plan. NPR's Giles Snyder reports.
President Trump told senators and their spouses from both parties at a White House reception last night that he thinks Republicans and Democrats will come together on health care and that it will happen very quickly. However, there are other priorities, including an overhaul of the tax code and Neil Gorsuch's Supreme Court nomination. Congress must also pass legislation by the end of April to avoid a government shutdown.
NPR's Giles Snyder. The president is expected to sign a bill Congress has sent to his desk overturning privacy rules for internet providers. The bill allows the providers to sell data on the websites people visit, including medical, financial, and other personal information, without first getting permission. British Prime Minister Theresa May says there can be no turning back. The United Kingdom has delivered its letter that starts the process of leaving the European Union. The letter went to the President of the European Council, who then tweeted the response, "We already miss you." The actual departure happens in 2 years. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says there's a ceasefire in 2 enclaves on opposite sides of Syria's civil war. NPR's Allison Muse reports besieged residents are expected to evacuate in the coming days.
The Syrian Observatory says opposition forces are expected to grant safe passage to residents of 2 isolated pro-government villages. In return, 2 towns besieged by the government and its allies will evacuate to the rebel-held north. These enclaves are bound by a reciprocal deal, meant to allow aid in and the sick and wounded out, but that's been sporadic. Some activists say the new plan amounts to a population exchange along Sunni-Shia sectarian lines. The siege of the Shia pro-government villages is also one of the last pressure cards of the armed opposition. Alison Muse, NPR News, Beirut.
A federal judge in New Jersey later this hour will sentence 2 former aides of New Jersey Governor Chris Christie for their roles in the so-called Bridgegate scandal. Joe Hernandez from member station WHYY has more.
Federal prosecutors are asking for 3 to 4 years of prison time for each defendant. Former Port Authority official Bill Baroni and former Deputy Chief of Staff Bridget Ann Kelly. The 2 were found guilty of closing lanes to the busy George Washington Bridge in 2013. They created traffic jams at the bridge for 4 days straight to punish a Democratic mayor who did not endorse Christie, a Republican, for re-election. Attorneys for Baroni and Kelly are asking a judge to sentence them to probation. Christie was never charged with a crime and denied any involvement. The lane closing scandal tanked his approval ratings in New Jersey and became an issue in Christie's failed run for president. For NPR News, I'm Joe Hernandez.
And you're listening to NPR News from Washington.
This is 90.9 WBUR. I'm Sharon Brody in Boston. A homeless murder suspect who had been on the Massachusetts Most Wanted list is expected to be in court today. David Grosek is expected in Malden District Court following his arrest in Pittsfield a month after the discovery in an Everett apartment of the decomposing body of Francis Brescia. Investigators say they don't believe that killing was random. The longtime fiancé of Aaron Hernandez is expected to take the stand today in the former New England Patriots' second murder trial in 2 years. Shanna Jenkins, who has a daughter with Hernandez, will testify for the prosecution. Hernandez is accused of shooting Daniel De Abreu and Safiro Furtado in the South End in 2012. Hernandez already is serving a life sentence in the 2013 killing of Odin Lloyd, the boyfriend of Jenkins' sister. Mansfield police say a person has died after being struck by a train near the